Good, good gracious, as bobacious. Good gracious, as bobacious. This is something juicy. I've been sitting on this chart and wrapping my head around a concept by Benjamin Cowan about rallies, first week of March, sell-offs into April, and how it's tried and true. Take a look.
Now, what we're going to do is I want to go look at some different examples. Okay, so the first one we should look at is the one in 2022, where you'll see that there was actually a low formed earlier. You had sort of an initial low, and then you had a higher low in February. Not that dissimilar from what we just saw. It's just that this first low happened to occur about a week or so, or right, maybe a week after the one from last time. But you have a low and a low here. So a low in late January, early February 2022. Same thing in 2026. A higher low in late February 2022. A higher low in late February 2026. What's interesting is that in 2022, we had the conflict with Ukraine and Russia starting. And in 2026, we have the conflict here with the United States and Iran. So, I mean, it's interesting because it feels like we live in a simulation sometimes, how things will play out in very similar manners. And what you'll notice is that back then, what Bitcoin did was it rallied for a week, got rejected, rallied again up to the bear market resistance band, even got a little bit above it, but ultimately it faded into a lower low. Ultimately, it faded into a lower low. Now, what's difficult in this situation is, are we here or are we here? Because in terms of time, you could argue, in terms of like the seasonality, you could argue that we're more like in this part. But in terms of the structure of the market breaking down, you could argue that we already dropped below this primary support level, and it looks closer to like that part, maybe even a little bit worse.
So, something he also notes is that we topped on apathy in this cycle, and essentially that makes it very much the same as topping on apathy in this current cycle. Now, I'm looking at, yes, fractals, and yes, patterns, and what else can we do? But I have such strong conviction. I am actually betting on this one. I am going to gamble. I am going to trade it, and I'll show you that as well. But just take a second here. Take a look, okay? I'm going to highlight this market structure. We're going to highlight this market structure, right? This was the whole Wyckoff. If you guys were here, you remember Uncoordinated or Unplanned. It's just a small no-name YouTube channel, actually also based here out of Colorado, who called this Wyckoff pattern, and Coinbase, Coin Bureau threw them a shout out. They got huge. And so we have this 1, 2, 3, 4, boom, then drop, beautiful consolidation. Then we get this one pulse, two pulse, but more specifically a double top here. I want you to really understand that double top, okay? So let's highlight that double top with, let's do arrows, right? Let's do arrows. 2. Okay. And just so you guys are aware, this is what we're looking at. Boom, boom, double top. But then we come down, big, okay. We're maybe in a bear market. Maybe we have a rally. People aren't really sure. And then we have the next leg down and we break market structure, okay? Lower lows. No doubt now that we're in a bear market. As we look in retrospect, it is completely obvious. But what is interesting and what I want to highlight is this is where we are. So not only did we have some boom booms and then a little bit of a higher high here, which again, I want you to note, about 1 test, 2 test, and we're on the daily time frame. This is the 200 moving average. the 50 moving average, and the 800 moving average. So you'll notice we came down to 800. We went up, tested the 2, double test the 2, triple test the 2, sweeping these highs. Then we fall. When we fall hard, okay? What I'm keying in on right here is that we then get this rally back up in towards the 50, and then a rally that doesn't quite make it back towards the 50 or sweep that high before we set our new low. Now, this doesn't have to do with March. This actually happened in June. However, now that you've seen this, right, a similar 1, 2, boo, boo, sweep down, kind of that spring, another Wyckoff pattern, then boom, same thing, boom, boom, down, sweep, and then off we go, okay? And that's important structure, right? Because we broke below it and then retested it. Just so y'all can see that. Right, this is what we were retesting, all of this action, but we couldn't really get above it. We couldn't truly close above it. So these 2 purple boxes are highlighting the key aspects, but I'm going to keep afterwards. After this, we got 1, 2 double top. If you notice here, we got a up move, retrace back towards the 200, right below the 50, which is in blue, back to the 200 in white, not quite right to the touch, but this to me looks like a double top. Boom. You could maybe, let's call this the double top, and then this just a sweep fake out, getting everybody super psyched, adding more to Bitcoin. We're going to all-time new highs, and then crash a boo-boo, okay? You could say it that way as well. Either way, I'm saying double top, okay? Double top. Then we drop down through the 200. We retest. Then we come back down to the 800, okay? 800. Now this is where it gets really similar again. Really similar again. So notice here, got the 1 test, the 2 test, and then the sweep. Test. So we get 1 test, 2 tests, but most importantly, right? It's not perfect. They don't repeat, they rhyme. The sweep, okay? The sweep. Comes back up above to test the 200, falls like a rock. Now here's what's most relevant to right where we are, right at this moment, as Bitcoin hovers just above $70,000 and people are calling for bottoms, which is so absurd. Take a look at this purple box, get a push up, and then another attempted push. Doesn't quite break this high, right? This is kind of right where it stops out. You notice this comes higher, and then it rolls over into another. And right, we're super extended, and we are even more extended right now. That is the only counter I will give to this idea. But we did just come up and test the 50. So we got our mean reversion. And the reason there's a purple band around this blue 50 moving average is because it shows you, based on volatility, where the 50, what is a relevant test of the 50 based on volatility. So if it gets to the purple, that is a relevant test of the 50. It might not be tradable for you, but it's certainly valid from a technical analysis perspective. Bear with me. I have a sinus infection, but that's how excited I am about making this video. Comes up, ba-boom, tests the EMA cloud, then the moving average cloud. Then the second test fails, and then we start to roll over, okay? Personally, Boom, we got even better test of the 50 this time, whereas we didn't get the best test of the 200, unlike these 3 arrows where we got really pretty close test and then a sweep. We didn't quite get that, but we got the same market structure of testing up, and then the sweep. Okay, so that's already proven itself. Now we're here. I think this is our second push up, and I think we fall and roll over from here. This goes right along with what Benjamin Cowan said about the rally in March that ultimately gets rejected, and then a rollover into April. That's my little cup of tea. Again, stay tuned. I got a video coming out. We're going to say the only video that is relevant as an investor in Bitcoin. This is why I call this the investor. Like, subscribe, help me out on the channel, especially because I'm sick and still making this content.